growing up and what it was like to really not have powerful female role models, as a young girl. I always had big dreams, and I just really believed that there was something bigger out there for me, but I didn't see too many examples, growing up. My superpower is really in strategy. I have the ability to look at the world and make sense of all the patterns and connect the dots and come up with high growth strategies, whether it is for growing companies and businesses or for growing people. And that's also, something for all of us to keep in mind is that visibility matters. So if you are successful, become more visible, because somewhere out there is a young girl looking to you for inspiration and is dreaming big because you shared your story.
Hola, amiga, and welcome to the Latina Leadership Podcast, the podcast by Latinas for all women. So get ready, because today's conversation is really special. Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. I'm Gracie, your co-host, and I'm here with Nikki Barua. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. So great to meet you, and thanks for having me, Gracie. I'm Nikki Barua, and I am a serial entrepreneur, CEO, as well as a keynote speaker and author. And I'm thrilled to be on the show and share more of my journey and my perspective with you.
And looking into you, I saw that you have 3 master's degrees. Is that true?
That is. What that really means is that I was too confused to know what my path should be. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, right?
But I would love to know, like for you to walk us through your professional journey. Like, what are your 3 master's degrees? What did you end up choosing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll go back a little bit more in time about growing up and what it was like to really not have powerful female role models, as a young girl. I always had big dreams, and I just really believed that there was something bigger out there for me, but I didn't see too many examples, growing up. And I also had this very like left brain, right brain kind of personality. I loved math and science and analytics, but I also was super creative and loved writing and creativity and all of that. So as a result, I basically couldn't figure out what I should do with myself, but I knew that whatever I did, I wanted it to have meaning. I wanted it to be something that was truly my unique superpower, and not just following what other people expected me to do. And so my first degree was actually in economics, and I just fell in love with big picture thinking. That's what economics was about for me. But once I finished that degree, I realized, well, what do you do with an economics degree, really? It wasn't something that I could put into practice very easily. So I ended up then doing an MBA, and my MBA was in strategy and finance, and that really gave me management skills and knowledge of how to build and grow business. And concurrently with that, I also did a master's in information systems and really got into artificial intelligence in the 90s. So it was sort of very early stage getting into technology and understanding how to look at the world from a systems point of view. And so in a way, I had this crazy mix of art and business and science all mixed together. And with that, and as much as, even though it all came out of confusion and really not knowing what you're supposed to do, I think so many people go through that where they're like, I don't really know what I'm meant for, and I'm going to try this out and test out different things. And that was really a lot of what I found myself feeling lost and confused about. But what I did every single time was I followed my curiosity. Whatever got me excited, I just followed my curiosity. And eventually that led to me discovering that my superpower is really in strategy. I have the ability to look at the world and make sense of all the patterns and connect the dots and come up with high growth strategies, whether it is for growing companies and businesses or for growing people. And that is the unique X factor, if you will, that has guided my entire career. So the first half of my career was being a top executive in major companies. So that was my corporate career, where I built up a career across business and technology and helped some of the world's largest companies um, grow their market share and become more innovative. And the second half of my career was as an entrepreneur. I realized that I always had these big aspirations, and I took a leap at the height of my corporate career, walked away from all of that and bet on myself and built up multiple successful businesses. And so now being at Latinas in Tech has really come full circle of learning to see that, how no matter how underestimated you may be, your big dreams and your vision can create the path for you, but also open doors for everybody else.
And I'm actually curious throughout your journey to get where you are, mostly highlighting your education, what I guess motivated you? Because I know me when I was in college, I would always, have those moments where I'm like, oh, this is so hard. How do I keep going? And then I have to remind myself that I'm so lucky to be able to study. I'm so lucky to be able to graduate because other people might not be. So I guess what motivated you to keep going, especially throughout your 3 master's degrees?
Yeah, I think both from my academic experience, but also through my professional career, there were so many setbacks, so many challenges all throughout. It was almost like every single time you think you can set a big goal or follow a dream, there's an even bigger obstacle that comes in your way that you have to overcome. And for me, there was one single thing that has always guided me through the difficult times. And it was something that my dad did for me when I was a little girl. He created this collage of with pictures of powerful women leaders. And it was all these, like, he would cut newspaper pictures and magazine pictures and all of that. And he kept sticking these pictures in this collage. And in the center of that collage, he drew my face and wrote my name. And he never said a word about it to me. He never said, I want you to grow up to be like these powerful women. He never said, I want you to be ambitious or do this or that. Never said a word to me. But every day, when I would look at that collage, I was barely 6 or 7 years old at the time. Every day I would look at that. All I could see was that that's me surrounded by all these powerful women. That's me that can belong there, that I'm supposed to have a bigger purpose and bigger impact, and that anything is possible. And that picture has always stayed in my head. I've never, like, no matter what challenge I've encountered, I think of that picture and I think, you can do it, because I was able to see that others have done it before me. And that sense of purpose and that desire to create big impact has been a guiding light throughout. And, I'm so grateful that my father gave me such a beautiful gift. And I often think about what it has taught me is if you can see it, you can be it. And that's also, something for all of us to keep in mind, is that visibility matters. So if you are successful, become more visible, because somewhere out there is a young girl looking to you for inspiration and is dreaming big because you shared your story.
And now you're making a big impact in Latinas in tech and inspiring other women. So, what brought you to Latinas in tech?
Well, this was really an unexpected opportunity. As I was transitioning out of previous, businesses, I was sort of trying to figure out what would be the most meaningful impact I can create at this stage of my career, because I didn't feel like there was anything for me to prove personally. It was more about, giving back and about like having the biggest impact for people that weren't getting the access and the opportunity that they deserved. And, it was a fortuitous conversation with the board that reached out and, asked me about stepping into this role. And it just felt completely aligned. It reminded me of that collage that my dad drew, and how that can be, that is the purpose and profound impact that can be created, but also the timing of why our mission is so important today. With everything going on in the world, with both the headwinds and the tailwinds, right? There's a lot of forces that are holding us back, but there's also opportunities like how AI is changing the world. There's so many things happening that during this time for our community to step into that space and to take space is absolutely critical. And to be able to make a difference during this important phase in society and history is just a huge honor and a privilege. And so I could not be more excited about what our mission is about, what our community is about, and all the opportunities ahead of us.
And those who actually may not know about Latinas in Tech, what is your mission and the work that you do?
Yeah, our mission is quite simply to advance Latinas in the tech industry. We are really focused as a global community to empower Latina tech professionals and allies in building the capabilities, the skill set, and the mindset that helps them advance in their careers, in providing access to opportunities and connections that opens doors, because we all know that access is a game changer. When you don't have access, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not going to be able to advance. So we provide that access. And finally, we provide the community that allows you to, feel less alone and to feel more confident and to believe that you can do it too, because you have friends and supporters that are there by your side. So our community is more than almost 25,000 members worldwide. We have 25 chapters, and we've helped thousands of Latinas not only get access to new opportunity, to advance in their careers, and to build incredible friendships and professional networks.
And you're also having an in-person summit very soon. So what can attendees expect at the Latinas in Tech Summit?
3 days of incredible energy, amazing inspiration from powerful leaders and speakers. It's real tangible workshops that will help you build skills, that will help you advance in your career, and actually get the tools and resources that you can apply right away. It's going to be sort of part career accelerator and part family reunion. That's what I'm going to feel like, because it's going to be a lot of amazing experiences and access to leaders and inspiration and all of that. But you're also going to feel like, wow, this is a moment that brings it all home for me. So it's 3 days of action-packed experiences. This year, we particularly focused a lot on things that are very actionable and fast. And the reason for that is, AI is changing the pace of everything, right? Everything is happening so fast that the only way to not only stay ahead and to dominate in that space is to move even faster. You've got to be able to adapt quicker and all of that. And so a lot of our programming, our topics, and the workshops we've designed are really intended for people to learn how to adapt quickly, how they can accelerate in their careers, and to build the connections and get access to the resources that help them leapfrog ahead. Because this is not a time to stand still or go slowly. This is a time to recognize it doesn't matter where you've been before, but AI is not just a disruptor, it's actually the great equalizer. So you can sort of leapfrog ahead and take advantage of this opportunity, and not only amplify your value in your own career and you as a leader, but you can take advantage of economic opportunities that might have not been there before. So we think it's a pivotal time, and the summit is exactly where it's all coming together. So if you want to look into the future, show up at the summit, because that's where it's all happening.
And aside from AI, what are not challenges, but what are some other, I guess, problems that Latinas in tech are facing right now?
Well, there are really three major challenges, that has historically been, you know, uh, sort of a limiter in terms of Latinas in tech. Number one is lack of access. I think that is something that we've all experienced in our careers, right? Whether you have an idea or an ambition, if you don't have access to the right people, the right resources at the right time, it's just going to take you a lot longer and it's going to make the journey a lot harder. Right? So access is a game changer. The minute you get access, everything changes and it becomes effortless. It becomes a lot faster. The second challenge is lack of visibility. Too often we find that we tend to keep our head down, work hard, and hope to get recognized. Well, that strategy doesn't work, especially not anymore. Right? You have to advocate for yourself. You have to be able to talk about your own accomplishments, your value, and what makes you unique and different. And learning how to gain visibility is also a core competence that people have to develop. And finally, lack of sponsorship. It's not enough to just have a manager that appreciates what you do. You have to have someone who's willing to bet their own reputation by backing you up. You have to find those sponsors, not just mentors, that'll help you open doors, that will help you, see the right opportunities, that will recommend you for positions that you don't even know about. And those three things are usually the most common factors: the lack of access, lack of visibility, and lack of sponsorship. And part of the reason why these are the challenges that Latinas face is because quite often we're the only ones in the room, right? We may be doing great work, but when you're the only, you know, people don't recognize how hard it was for you to even get to the room, right? And so, there's you have to work twice as hard sometimes to be able to, own your space and to get the recognition. But there's also the second challenge of you are at risk of getting left behind if you don't take advantage of those opportunities. And so, our mission as an organization is really to close that gap, right? Close the gap of lacking access, provide more visibility, provide a platform that helps to spotlight, the talent and the great leadership we have in our community. And also to provide the connection with sponsors, people that will open the doors and advocate for you. And as we close that opportunity gap, you will start to see that reflected in the leadership profiles, because this isn't just about an individual doing better in their career. It's about building a better future. And a better future is built by all, and it is something that reflects the diversity of our community and our society. And that's really what we are focused on advocating for, so that every organization is able to get access to the best talent, the best creative minds, and that we are all leveling up together.
We wanted to take a quick break to remind you that every week we have incredible conversations just like this one in education, entrepreneurship, pay equity, women's health, and so much more. So be sure to subscribe to us at Latina Leadership Podcast. And let's go back to the video. Something that you mentioned that I think is very, very important, and I want to highlight again, is mentorship and sponsorship throughout your journey. I know I've spoken to some leaders throughout this podcast, and they always bring up, mentorship and how important it was throughout their journey. So I'm wondering, who were your mentors that really took you throughout your journey and helped you throughout your journey?
Yeah, well, I've been very fortunate to have incredible mentors throughout my career, but I want to call out something different. While I've been lucky to have a lot of mentors, what actually made the biggest difference in my career success was having powerful sponsors. They're two very different things. Mentors give you advice, right? They're experienced people that can give you advice to say, hey, you should do this or do that, or here's my recommendation and all of that. What sponsors do that's different is that they're betting their own reputation and their own credibility on opening doors for you. So they're doing things that are far more tangible beyond just giving advice. And when I think about my career, it's equal parts mentors and sponsors, but the role of the sponsors had a much bigger impact on my success. Whether it was in my corporate career and sponsors that recommended me for positions that I was frankly like not proven in yet, like I did, but they believed in me. They saw something that I brought to the table, and they opened doors to positions that I would not have gotten otherwise. And once I was able to get that role, that allowed me to succeed even faster. As an entrepreneur, same thing. I had sponsors that not only gave me access to resources and capital, but they also were able to help my business grow faster. Or provide resources that frankly were not available to people like me, right? So the role of sponsors is so much more impactful in your career journey. And my biggest recommendation to people is don't wait for someone to come and mentor you or sponsor you. Go find the people who can make a difference and ask them. Don't wait for it. So many times, I will ask people questions about mentors and sponsors. And while they might have mentors, most of the time people don't even have one single sponsor they can name. And that is actually a problem, because I truly believe that women in particular tend to be over mentored and under sponsored. We get tons of advice. Everybody wants to be an advisor to us, telling us what to do. We don't have enough people actually opening doors and putting us in positions of power. That's what really makes the difference. So don't wait for someone else to take a chance on you. Bet on yourself, be confident, and ask the right person to open that door for you.
Aside, I'm sorry. Aside from that advice and attending the Latinas in Tech Summit, what are some other steps our community can take to stay ahead and thrive in this new tech landscape?
Well, AI is clearly not just the biggest disruptor, but it's also a huge equalizer. Things that we could not do before, we're able to do now. And you don't need a fancy degree to use AI, right? Like anyone has access to AI, and you can actually become much more valuable in the way you present yourself if you leapfrog ahead. And so when it comes to this new AI driven world, there's three things that are absolutely critical. Number one, get AI literate. Don't wait for your company or someone else to, provide the resources to master this. Start experimenting, learn fast, take the courses you need to do, whatever it is that you need to do in order to master AI and to get a level of comfort in that, do it now. Number two, think like a strategist. Use it to amplify your value. Because at the end of the day, AI is not going to take your job, but somebody that is better at using AI, that's the person who's going to take your job. So use it to actually take your core competence and your value and amplify it better. So think like a strategist when it comes to, how you prepare yourself for the future. And finally, we are living in a world where it's all about community. Community is what makes the biggest difference. It's your relationships that become the biggest accelerator. And so join communities and level up together. That's what a community like Latinas in Tech is about, is that you're not left behind because you're alone. You will advance simply because the community lifts you up and gives you the knowledge and the resources and the access that are necessary. And then outside of from a tech perspective, I think as a mindset, I really think it's about don't shrink. I think it's important to dream big and to claim space and to pursue your dreams without fear, without hesitation. Just bet on yourself.
And someone who wants to get involved with Latinas in Tech, what's that first step they can take?
The first step is register as a member or find a local chapter where you can attend a free event and meet with other local community members. So go to latinasintech.org, look for a local chapter in your area, or simply register online. We have tons of resources and tons of opportunities to not only participate, but actually to organize and volunteer as well. The best part of becoming part of our community is really the relationships that you end up building. Every time I speak to our members, the biggest thing that they talk about is how they felt so alone. They felt like they were the only, that there was no one else like them, that they didn't feel understood. They didn't have a sense of belonging. And as soon as they join the community, suddenly they're like, wow, I'm not the only one. There's so many else like me. And the things that used to scare you become less scary. The things that you have self-doubt about goes away. The things that you're afraid to dream about, you suddenly are able to conquer and say, you know what, I can do it too. And that's the beautiful part of finding a community where you truly belong, where you build friendships for a lifetime, and where you feel like they're dedicated to your success.
I've definitely been feeling that when I've been talking to leaders, like women who are leaders in their positions, is that inspiration and seeing someone just like me doing it, like just being a boss girl and like
Yeah.
just getting like, I just think it's so inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we say we're in the business of making HEPAs, because the more powerful leaders that are there in the world, the more inspiration there is and belief, because inspiration is one thing to lean back and listen to someone and feel excited about their journey, but belief that you can do it too, that's what actually changes your life. And so, in order to have that self belief, you have to be part of a community because it normalizes success. It makes you believe that you can do it too because somebody else is doing it.
And someone who might just be starting their journey into tech and don't really know where to start, what advice would you give to a Latina who's just starting in their tech journey?
Believe in yourself. Exactly what I was just sharing a minute ago, which is belief plays such a huge role in your career success and also how fast you go advance in your career, right? The most common reason why people are held back is self-doubt. We second guess whether we can step into a role. We question our own abilities and our intelligence. We undermine our own talent and capabilities. And with all of that self-doubt, we don't step boldly into opportunities. We don't jump into things fast enough. And or we want to prepare ourselves. We over prepare, right? Like I'll sign up for this when I've checked all the boxes and when I can meet all the criteria. Well, the people that advance in their careers fastest are the ones that aren't second guessing. They're not letting their self-doubt get in the way. They're not over preparing. They're just taking a chance. And so if you're starting out in your career, it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your family upbringing is. It doesn't matter what your academic GPA was. None of that matters. What matters is how big is your vision for yourself. Dream big. And I'll challenge you to dream even bigger. Whatever your dream is, make it even bigger. And then just bet on yourself. Just take that first step and trust that even if you fall or you fail, you'll figure it out. But you're better off taking a chance and betting on yourself and going faster than hesitating and let someone else run further ahead than you, even though you had the potential. So don't hesitate, bet on yourself, dream big, and just keep going.
I feel like that was my problem when I first started my journey is I would push it off because I was like, oh, I need to do this.
You're not ready yet, right?
Yeah, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I didn't take that chance.
Yeah. I think that's it's like the self-doubt sits on your shoulder, always like chirping in your ear and saying, no, you're not ready yet. Don't you, if you jump in too soon, you're going to fail. You're going to embarrass yourself, or people are going to judge you and criticize you, and, or it's going to be something that you won't recover from. And that fear of not being ready actually holds us back even more than any amount of risk that we can ever take. And the truth is, you're never going to be ready. I've talked to the world's most powerful leaders in business and in policy and other places. And the most common thing I hear them describe is that they jumped into opportunities before they were ready. They did not wait to check all the boxes. They did not listen to that voice that said, "No, you can't. It's too soon," or "You wait a little longer." They just jumped in. And so let that be inspiration and instruction for you, that if there's any part of you in any part of your life or career that you're thinking, I'm not ready yet, just work through it and think, what's the worst that's going to happen? And just take that leap of faith.
Yeah, I think my family's always told me the worst thing they could say is no, and then you just
Yeah.
keep going. You move on.
Exactly. You don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
No, you got you got to just go for it.
Yeah, just ask.
Yeah.
And Nikki, is there anything I didn't ask you that you would love to tell our listeners?
Well, what I would love for your listeners to take away from this conversation is to believe in their own potential and to be part of a community that believes in you. And that's exactly what Latinas in Tech is about. It's not just for Latinas in tech. So even if you are in a different industry, but you're curious about tech and how tech is changing the world, and you want to belong to a professional network that can help you advance and to help you get access and to help you connect with others like you, then I hope you'll consider our community. I hope you'll come to our summit. And I hope more than anything else that you become the inspiration for all the others around you.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Nikki. This is an amazing, inspiring conversation.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us in this amazing conversation today. And if you need more information or resources, as always, they'll be in the description below. Please don't forget to follow us everywhere at Latina Leadership Podcast to stay updated with our latest releases, events, updates, and more. And with that, we'll see you next time.